Okay, today we're going to be doing a demonstration on the ZoomLock crimping tool. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube. I've seen a lot of the right ways to do it. I've also seen a lot of the wrong ways to do it. And I'm not perfect at this. But I'm just going to put my opinion out here of some of the challenges that haven't been addressed. One of the challenges that I see is cutting the bell end off of a condensing unit on the outside. And the problem with cutting off the bell is that it doesn't really leave enough material exposed for the to get a complete seal with using the ZoomLock fitting. So because they really need to go in there quite a bit. So just for instance, just an example of the bell end, say on a condensing unit or an evaporator coil. And what I've come up with was this product is also on YouTube. It's the Hvac Super Pro, and what it is, it's a kit. Comes with sandpaper, got 80 grit sandpaper with it, like a roll. So basically you just tear what you need off, and you know, after you deburr actually they don't really require that you deburr it, but this is an example of what it was done with the 80 grit. And I'm not going to do the whole process of what I do, but there's other videos on there that show you how to do that. But today what I want to do is just to go over my findings of how really that it should be done. And actually I'm going to be doing my own unit. I'm going to be pulling the evaporator coil upstairs. It's about a 16-year-old unit. It's got a lot of rust in the pan. Actually the pan is not leaking, but the primary drain pan needs to be replaced anyway. So I'm going to pull that evaporator coil. The problem with that is it's an R22 unit, and R22 is not compatible with the Zoom. Well, actually they do have some new fittings they're coming out with for the R22, but I'm actually going to try and use the Hvac Super Pro for that. But the thing is, I'm going to do it differently than what they do on their process. They actually show that you have to wait in between fittings to touch the next fitting. So in order to avoid that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be crimping those fittings towards the end here with a different crimp tool actually that I found. It's a French tool, and they use these a lot over in Europe. They've used them for years for crimping plumbing. And what it is, it's a Waven. The brand is Waven. And I don't know if you can, I'm going to try and take it off here. Anyway, let me just hold it up to the camera here. So what it is, the Waven, it actually has 3 different places where it crimps. So, and actually this is one that I actually crimped with it in practice. And so this actually has the Hvac Super Pro right here that has hardened. After 24 hours it's completely set. But what I've done here is I've used a Waven crimp to actually put pressure on it. That way it's actually made it to where it can't pull apart. Even if it were to leak, it could not pull apart, even under high pressure, because it's crimped really well. But anyway, we'll go over that at the end. But I'll just show you right here what I've prepared. And basically, so what I'm doing, this is just another little practice fitting that I did. I didn't even use any of the Hvac Super Pro. I was just practicing with the crimper. But this is the 7/8 ZoomLock crimper tool that I used on this. But I mean, it's really on there. I haven't leak tested this or anything, but I'm sure this will leak because it doesn't have any sealer, has no O-ring. So, but anyway, just bear with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 80 grit sanding paper that comes with the Hvac Super Pro. It's waterproof, it's very durable. And what I've got here is I've got an old nylon lifter brush. This is something I used to use like a long time ago, but I find that actually you can put tubing or whatever in there instead of doing it by hand. And just take the 80 grit paper like this. You want to wear gloves. I'm not wearing a glove, but you get the idea. Just rough it up. They want you to rough up the outside of the pipe. They also want you to rough up the inside of the fitting or tubing. whichever one that you're doing. They want you to take the 80 grit paper. I guess you'd fold it up like this. Go inside the fitting that the pipe will be going on. And just go round and round with the 80 grit. You know, just by hand. So whenever you're done there, you're going to have roughness inside there. They want you to leave the dust, actually any dust inside there, because they say that it helps the Super Pro actually to bond better. I don't know exactly, you know, how that works, but I'm not the scientist. So actually that'd be the fitting, that'd be the prepared fitting, and then that would be the way that it would go in, like that. So you'd put the Super Pro in there, insert it. They want you to turn it if you can. If you can't turn it while you're putting it in with your third hand, I guess you would squirt a little Super Pro in there while you're pushing it in, you know, straight in, but let it run down, you know, while you're doing it. But anyway, that's just my idea. We'll see how it goes here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the ZoomLock fittings. These have the O-rings inside. There is no sealant at all on this fitting. There won't be any sealant at all on this other fitting, which is also ZoomLock. These are the 7/8 diameter. This is 3/4 inch type M hard tubing. So that's on this end. On this end, what we have is 5/8 the roll soft copper tubing, or actually it's 3/4. Sorry, it is 3/4. But I did swage this end out with the spin swage. That's another video that's on YouTube. I like that product. The other good thing about Hvac Super Pro, you can join aluminum with copper, steel, or brass in any combination. The downside to the ZoomLock is that it can only join copper to copper. So I guess that's why I'm trying to come up with a way that you can be braze free totally and use both of these products in a different combination, along with the waving crimp jaws to do the 3/4 fitting. So we're going to do that on those later. Okay, but let's begin. And don't forget, this right here is going to simulate the bell that comes off your condensing unit, or the fitting that comes off the evaporator coil later on. So we'll crimp that with the 7/8 ZoomLock crimp head. That's this right here. So we'll use that later. Okay, but what I'm going to do first, we're going to go ahead and crimp. Actually, let's prepare the ZoomLock fitting. And actually there's videos on there that show how to do that too. But I'm just going to remove this. I actually had just put it in there, but we're going to remove it. And I'm going to show you, instead of using the 80 grit paper, what we're going to use is, I've got some finer grit. I guess it's like probably 100 grit or 120. Yeah, it's 120 waterproof aluminum oxide paper. It's sanding cloth is what it is. But what I did here, I'll just show you the same thing as I just put it on the my little nylon rotating brush. You can do it by hand, you know, like this. But what I did is actually I just put it in the drill. It's not really perfect. It's kind of, you know, hanging up. You'll want to wear gloves, you know, but you get the idea. So basically we're just going to clean it up. I've already done this one. I'm just going to redo it for demonstration purposes. The ZoomLock, it actually comes with Scotch-Brite pad, just like this. You just, so basically you cut your tubing, whether it's hard or soft tubing, doesn't matter. It comes with this little deburr tool. What they're saying is, instead of doing it like in just a circular motion, they want you to go back and forth about 6 or 7 times. And what it is, you want to remove any burr that's on the outside. That way it doesn't tear up the O-ring. But if you have questions about that, go on the ZoomLock website. It shows you how to prepare it. But the final thing you want to do is use the Scotch-Brite after you've deburred it. And you want to just hit it. Make sure you wear gloves. Safety first, safety glasses. And this is actually for HVAC professionals. This is really not for homeowners, the video, because you still have to have the EPA license in order to handle refrigerant anyway. So, but it's just good to know, different processes. So basically that's what we've got. We've got the rough in the air. This has got the 80 grit, really rough. We've got the smooth in there, which is going to go on the ZoomLock fitting. Okay. So let's just do that. So we're actually going to start with this side. And I've marked the depths already on these, but let's just start with, I guess we'll just start with this end. So what we're going to do, we're just going to insert the, well actually, we're going to measure it first. You're actually supposed to measure it according to the video. You can just measure it to where it stops. You can actually see on the fitting how deep it should go. So we're going to do that. And the trick with the ZoomLock fitting is just make sure whenever you're going in, you just twist it back and forth just a little bit to get it in there. You don't want to use any kind of lubricant, anything like that. Just bring it in until it stops. We're going to go ahead and do this side as well. Just this end. Okay, we're just going to push it in. It went past the O-ring, as you can see the marks. Okay, then we're going to take our little ZoomLock tool. Okay, and it's pretty straightforward. It's got little slots here on either side for the flanges, so the O-ring actually fits in one side, the flange fits in the opposite side. And we're going to put that in. And all you really have to do is just hold it until it finishes. Okay. Whenever it's all done, you can see that actually it just made 2 crimps. Okay, then we're going to go on to the next one here. Don't get in a hurry though, just take your time. Make sure the tool's lined up. Give it a squeeze. Okay, so we're done. We're all done with the ZoomLock side. Okay, here is the RLS gauge, the crimp gauge. So you just find your 7/8. Just make sure that it goes all the way down, and it does. That's a good crimp. So all 4. So you know that you've got a good crimp there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so what we have here, we've got the same thing. I've already got it prepared. I've already got, I actually already deburred it. I did it with the Scotch Brite, made sure it was good. So we're going to zoom both of these 7/8 fittings. Okay, the same way. Easy. It's self-aligning, everything. There's nothing hard about this. Okay, there's one. Okay, there's 2. Okay, the same thing. We're just going to verify with the gauge that it did a good crimp. So 7/8. If it goes on completely, it's a good crimp. So what you've got there, you've got a sealant-free O-ring seal, 2 O-rings. So, okay, now on the corner piece here, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this with the Hvac Super Pro. Only on this side here, we're not going to crimp it. According to the directions, you can have between 5 thousandths and 20 thousandths of an inch clearance. They want it to be a loose fit. Actually, the Super Pro, it's an anaerobic compound, and it's just like Loctite. But I would not use Loctite because this has actually been tested for HVAC, refrigeration, and home use on home units. But I would stick to what they have rather than try and Loctite. But for many years I used to install cylinder sleeves for automotive engines. We did thousands and thousands using sleeve retaining Loctite. I think it was like 620. But what we would do is we would put the sleeve retaining compound, drive in the sleeves, using nitrogen, liquid nitrogen to shrink the sleeves before they went in. So there was actually a 2/1000 press fit, whereas on this we don't have a press fit, it's a loose fit. But like I said, on these 3/4 fittings, these two here, I'm going to crimp them afterwards. And then when we're all done with this thing, we're gonna put some nitrogen or CO2. We're gonna actually test it, just make sure that it doesn't leak. After that, I'd really like to run a test, a failure test, to find out which link in this whole system causes it to fail. Okay, now if there is a failure, what I'd like to do, and typically it's been on the soft copper on all the other ZoomLock videos I've seen. It's never at the fittings where it failed. But it's interesting to find out if the aluminum here will fail, the soft copper, the hard drawn copper, or any of the corner fittings, if they may fail. Now, I'm predicting that the soft copper or the aluminum here would probably fail first. But what I would like to see is that portion cut out after the failure, cap the ends off of the failed part, and then continue and re-pressure test again to find out what would be the second thing to fail. And just continue down the line with higher and higher pressures. And then just find out, ultimately, just how tough these Zoom fittings are. But I really predict that they're really, really pretty tough. These are really thick gauge copper. These are not junk. These are, they're a lot thicker, actually, than any of the unions or couplings or these other fittings. The wall thickness is quite a bit bigger. So anyway, we'll find out. We'll see. Okay, so so now we've got this done, this done. What I want to do is just go into this corner. What we're going to do is, actually, you know what, we're not. Let's go over here to this one here, and we're going to pretend that this is the bell fitting. We're going to put the Hvac Super Pro, and we'll go ahead and crimp that on there. Then this one here, we'll go ahead and glue and crimp this one as well. And this way all of our crimping is done. The last thing to do will be to glue all these together with the Hvac Super Pro, and then we'll just push fit all that together. We'll be done. We'll crimp these first too. So, okay, let's get started here. So since we're already with the 7/8 crimper, let's go ahead and go over this one. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to we're going to use the Hvac Super Pro. What I recommend using is a piece of bamboo. This is a skewer, and the reason I use this is because bamboo is really, really tough, and it's not going to splinter on you. You're not going to have, you know, little pieces of wood like you would with a Q-tip or a toothpick. They recommend a toothpick, but I found just take your little bamboo skewer, cut a little piece off. The Hvac Super Pro. What I'm going to do is just dip it down into the bottle. I'm going to take the lid off. I'm not going to squirt it on there. I'm just going to dip down in there and then swab it onto the inside, outside of the fitting. Just tripping. Okay, so what they say to do is just shake it. Really shake it a lot. Okay, I don't know if it has particles down inside. I don't know. I don't really know anything about it. I'm not sponsored by any of these, but what I'm doing is just trying to get people out there to get some thinking going, get some different ideas, because I know my past experience of what I've done, things that have worked, and I know that Loctite is a really good product, but the Hvac Super Pro, I've got a feeling that if it's used in this way, a lot of people will be able to do a lot more repairs, and you know, just be able to do more without brazing. That's what I'm trying. My goal is to not have to braze anything, and I know that's ZoomLock's goal. I know that's Hvac Super Pro's goal, but I really think if you just put your mind to it, you can figure out just about anything, you know, and a better way to do it. So what we've got here, we've got the 80 grit roughed up on the inside and the outside. Another thing is on the HVAC Super Pro video, they say use this, you can, put it on your skin, but on the back it says keep out of the reach of children. It says, if on skin, wash with soap and water. If in eyes, flush with water. Refer to MSDS for additional instructions. So anyway, there's some warnings on there. But I would just, play it safe. Wear rubber gloves if you need to. But I'm just going to dip the stick in there. And since this is anaerobic, it's not going to harden on its own. You know what I'm saying? Being in the air. It's, it'll stay liquid as long as there's air around it. So what we're going to do, we're going to dip it. I'm going to take a few drops, just go on the inside like this, go all the way around, work it all the way around. Okay, make sure that's all in there really good. Then we're going to grab this one. Okay, and I'm going to do this just to make sure that it coats all the way around. And just take your time. It's not a race here. What we're trying to do is give this product, as much time as it takes to do it correctly. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to join them together. Okay, just like that. I'm going to go ahead. You just have a few seconds, they say, but you do have a little bit longer time. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the 7/8. This is the ZoomLock. We're going to line it up. Okay. Crimped. Okay, now here's one more step that I'm going to do a little differently than what they do on their video. They actually say that the part out here, it will not harden, and they're correct, it won't harden on its own. But what I've taken is, this is some pipe tape, like pipe sealing tape, like for repairing leaks, I guess. What it does is whenever you wrap it around, it's not sticky on its own, but it sticks to itself, and then it will glue to itself, like kind of like I don't know what you call it, like vulcanizing or something, I don't know. But if you leave it, you won't be able to hardly unstick it from itself. But it doesn't have any adhesive at all. So what I like to do is just leave that on there, as you can see, and we're just going to wrap it for 24 hours. Now you probably don't have to do it for 24 hours. We're going to do our test for 24 hours. And all you do is just pull it around, stick to itself. See, it sticks to itself. Now there's no oxygen underneath this. So now that little bit of Hvac Super Pro is going to harden. So it'll be at a full strength in 24 hours. This is one that I did last night. I left it sitting. I was just playing around. But you can see there it's really hard. And I just feel this is a better way to do it than just the way they say, just like leave it. Leave it and it won't harden. I would rather it harden up on there. Okay, so we got that part done. Let's go ahead. We're going to continue. What I've done here is I've just taken a 3/4 coupling. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join these two pieces together with a coupling. The same thing with the 80 grit on the inside. We want to do that on the inside, outside. But don't confuse the two between the ZoomLock, which has to be finished up with Scotch-Brite, and you don't really want to use 80 grit paper on for the ZoomLock. But for the Hvac Super Pro, you do want to use the 80 grit. So that's what we're doing here. I'm doing the inside. The outside here was already done earlier. It just takes a long time to prepare everything for a video. But if you were in somebody's attic, you're just doing a couple of fittings. It's not going to take you that long, especially after you've done practice with this. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, I'm just going to continue here. Actually, let's go ahead and do this one first, and then we're going to put this on here, stop, and then we'll do that one. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do the Hvac Super Pro. Okay, a pretty good amount. Let's actually start with the fitting. Let's do the fitting part. So about halfway. The other thing with this stuff is as soon as you pull a vacuum on the system, anything that's inside the system that's still liquid, it will solidify. So there won't be any worry about any of this being inside the system wet, as long as that you pull a vacuum on it. So anyway, so on the inside of the fitting, it would also be sealed up tight from using this. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to join this one here up to the line. Okay, we've got a little bit of time, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and wipe. I'm going to wipe just a little bit of this off, just so I don't get it in the ZoomLock jaws. I really don't want a lot of it in there. So let's just go ahead. We're going to go ahead and crimp this side, and all I'm doing is I'm lining it up. Okay, we did that one. Okay. And then at the same time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish it off the last fitting. Put some inside. Pretty good amount. This is really just for a test. You know, you can use 3 drops, whatever you want to do, but I want to make sure that it goes all the way around. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put that on. And then we'll crimp it as well, the same thing. So I'm going to line it up. Make sure it's there. Okay. Now as you can see, the crimps on the ZoomLock fitting, they're going to be a lot deeper. But at the same time, what this has done is it has actually distorted the pipe itself underneath. So it's got pressure on there. So really you don't have to worry about that, that it's going to come apart or anything. See right there? I mean, it's really on there. There's no way that's going to come off. Okay, now what we're going to do now, we'll go ahead and tape all these also. We're just going to tape them as we go. Okay? And I probably should have something to cut this, but okay. Just pretend you're in an attic. You don't have all your tools. Okay. Well, that's not coming off real easy. Well, you know what? We can come back to that. I'm not really that worried about that anyway. Because number one, it's not going to harden up on its own. It won't. So what we're going to do is we'll just continue gluing all the fittings. And so actually, let's go into this next one here. Let's go to this one. We're going to go right here. We're going to glue and crimp with the Hvac crimper over here. So we're going to glue these 2 fittings to the aluminum. And then, so we'll glue it, crimp it. Okay, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's see. So, let's see. Made a little mess there. Okay, so let's start with, so we're going to go ahead and use some more of the Hvac Super Pro, same thing. On these 2, these have already been, actually the insides haven't been prepared with the 80 grit, but the outside was done. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay, like I said, just leave the dust in there. That's what they're saying to do. So that's what we'll do. So let's start with, I guess, the smaller fitting. put a little bit of the Super Pro. Now you can just cut the nozzle off and use it out of the bottle. You know, if you want to do it that way. But this is just how I chose to do it. But I know you don't want any hairs. You don't want any splinters in there, anything like that. So just take your time, get it in there. Let's do that. Okay, get a good amount. We're going to push these two together to the line. And actually this one here, I'm also going to wipe it off. Just because I put a little too much, but that's okay. I just don't want it to get too much in my crimper jaws. Okay, so this is the waving crimper. This is it's a 20 millimeter U20, and what we're going to do, we're just going to center it up like yonder. Okay, done. Okay. Now I'm just going to wipe a little bit of the excess off, not the whole thing. I want a little bit of it to stay there, because I think more is better. Okay. We'll go on and go this other side. Okay, put a little bit on there, all the way around. Take your time, no hurry. Let's do the inside. Okay, we've got that in there. Okay, same thing.